back to Hashman's Hockey Hat Trick. I'm Brian the Hashman, and it's Friday, June 7th, 2024. And in the words of the immortal hockey great Badger Bob Johnson, it's a great day for hockey. Well, hockey fans, this is the Hashman Stanley Cup Finals edition of Hashman's Hockey Hat Trick. So welcome back. Well, hockey fans, it is the best time of year. The Stanley Cup playoffs, where the best two teams in the NHL are vying for the oldest and most coveted trophy in professional sports, Lord Stanley's Cup. And I hope all of you have been making the right picks throughout the first three rounds of the 2024 Stanley Cup playoffs. Unfortunately for me, the two teams that I picked to advance to the Stanley Cup finals are not here today. I had originally picked the Carolina Hurricanes and the Colorado Avalanche. And every year for probably the last 2 decades, I've always decided to pick two teams from the East and two teams from the West to advance to the Stanley Cup Finals. And I thought Carolina, as well as the Las Vegas Books, were going to get to the Stanley Cup. And they had a run-in with the President's Trophy winners, the New York Rangers, and they didn't come through in that series. But anyways, the original odds on teams to win the Stanley Cup before the playoffs began, the Carolina Hurricanes were plus 650 odds to win the Stanley Cup. And behind them, a three-way tie for the second favorites to win the Stanley Cup, and that was shared with the Florida Panthers, the Edmonton Oilers, and the Colorado Avalanche. All went off at plus 700 odds to win the Stanley Cup. So like I said, unfortunately, I had the Carolina Hurricanes. And also this year was the first time that I couldn't decide on more than one team in the West to reach the finals. So I only had the Colorado Avalanche on the Western side. And on the Eastern side, I had the Florida Panthers, the New York Rangers, and the Carolina Hurricanes, as I previously mentioned. So I hope all of you were successful in picking the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers. I think the NHL is very happy that Connor McDavid has made it to the finals this year. And I'm just glad that the Florida Panthers made it back, seeing that they lost to the Las Vegas Golden Knights in the 2023 Stanley Cup Finals. So I think the Florida Panthers are going to achieve the Cup this year, but I'm not giving that prediction out yet. In today's video, I'm going to give a little recap on the playoff rounds and how these two teams got here today. And there are some similarities between these two teams in the first three rounds of the playoffs. And then I'm going to give 3 predictions today, as well as giving out 3 predictions tomorrow prior to the 8 p.m. start in Sunrise, Florida at Amerant Bank Arena. I said there was a lot of similarities that took place in the prior 3 rounds of the playoffs. And in the postseason, both these teams won their first round versus their opponents 4-1. Maybe it's a coincidence, maybe it's not a big deal, but Florida beat the Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Edmonton Oilers beat the Los Angeles Kings. And another similarity that I saw was that both Edmonton and Florida won the first game, lost the second game, and then won the next 3 games to win the series. And in round 2, both of these teams seemed to struggle. The Florida Panthers seemed to struggle with the Boston Bruins, and the Edmonton Oilers definitely struggled with the Vancouver Canucks. The Florida Panthers versus the Bruins. The Bruins won the first contest in Florida, which the Florida Panthers had some time off. So maybe they had some laziness or too much time without playing a game. But the Bruins won the first game. And after the Bruins won the first game in Florida, The Florida Panthers stormed back, winning the next 3 games. They won game 2 6-1 in Florida. Then the series went back to Boston. Florida won 6-2 in Boston. Then they won again 3-2 in Boston. The series went back to Florida for game 5. With the Bruins facing elimination, the Bruins pulled one out of their derriere. They beat the Panthers in game 5 2-1 in Florida, only to come back to Boston for game 6, where the Florida Panthers won 2-1. On the other side in the Western Conference, like I said, Edmonton Oilers struggled with the Vancouver Canucks. It took them 7 games to beat the Vancouver Canucks. And luckily in the final game, where the Edmonton Oilers won 3-2 in game 7, Stuart Skinner only faced 17 shots on goal put on him by the Vancouver Canucks. Also, I thought Edmonton struggled to get goals against Vancouver's backup rookie goaltender, Arturs Silos. He played phenomenal, being thrown into the spotlight in the playoffs, with Thatcher Demko being out. I think if Vancouver had Thatcher Demko in net, they maybe could have got past Edmonton. But they didn't. They had rookie netminder Arturs Silos in net, who played phenomenal, being thrown into the spotlight of the 2024 playoff series. Another similarity that I found was in the third round, both the Florida Panthers and the Edmonton Oilers knocked out the number 1 seed in their conferences in 6 games to advance to the 2024 Stanley Cup Finals. The Florida Panthers started out on a good note against President's Trophy winning New York Rangers. They won the first game 3-0, shutting out the Rangers in New York. But in the second game, they lost 2-1 in OT, and the Rangers got even. In the third game, they lost again. The Panthers lost to the Rangers 5-4 in overtime again. One of the higher scoring games we saw the Panthers were involved in this series. Then the Panthers went on to win games 4, 5, and 6. While in the Western Conference, the Edmonton Oilers knocked out the number 1 seed in the Western Conference's Dallas Stars. I never thought the Dallas Stars were going to get by Colorado. That's why I had Colorado picked to get to the Cup. I can't believe it took Dallas 7 games to get past defending Stanley Cup champion Las Vegas Golden Knights in 7 games. But it did. It happened. And the Edmonton Oilers knocked out the Dallas Stars also in 6 games. They won 4 games to 2. In the third round, both teams won the first game on the road, only to lose games 2 and 3, and then to storm back and win the next 3 games to eliminate those number 1 seeds in the New York Rangers and the Dallas Stars. Now, getting to the way these 2 teams have played each other during this past regular season, these 2 teams met twice during the regular season, all the way back in 2023. And the first time they met was in Sunrise, Florida on November 20th, where the Panthers outscored the Edmonton Oilers in a 5-3 routing of the Edmonton Oilers. And backup goaltender Calvin Pickard was in net for the Edmonton Oilers. I'm not making any excuses for the Edmonton Oilers, because no matter who's in goal, you have to have confidence in, and you have to put up more goals than your opponents do on your own net. And that's the bottom line. The Florida Panthers outsmarted, outshot, outhit Edmonton in the first game in the regular season, defeating the Oilers 5-3. The second time these 2 teams met was in Edmonton on December 16th of 2023. Florida, again, outscored the Edmonton Oilers 5-1 in Edmonton. And again, backup netminder Calvin Pickard was in net. I don't know about you, but I don't have much faith in Stuart Skinner either. And that's probably why Calvin Pickard came out during earlier rounds in this playoffs. And in the second regular season game, both goaltenders faced 39 shots on goal from their opponents. Unfortunately for Edmonton, Calvin Pickard wasn't able to be a stone wall, allowing 5 goals by the strong, offensive-minded Florida Panthers. Looking at this game coming up tomorrow, Game 1 of the Stanley Cup Finals, a few future predictions that I like and would like to share with you all. So, hockey fans, getting into my 2024 Stanley Cup Finals, 3 future picks. My first pick, I like the Florida Panthers to win this finals in 6 games. So I like the Panthers to win 4-2. My second pick for the Stanley Cup future, I like Sergei Bobrovsky to win the Conn Smythe Trophy. I think he's probably the biggest reason why the Florida Panthers have gotten to the Stanley Cup back-to-back seasons. And for my third future prediction, I like the end result of the first 3 games to be the Florida Panthers up in the series 2-1. Thanks for watching, hockey fans. I'll be back tomorrow with another hat trick of 3 predictions in Game 1 of the 2024 Stanley Cup Finals. Please don't forget, if you like my video and you like my predictions, give me a thumbs up by slashing that like button down below. Please subscribe to my channel. Please share my channel with anyone you think would be interested in watching my Hashman's hockey hat trick of 3 predictions in the Stanley Cup Finals. Thanks again, hockey fans. As always, good luck with your bet.